There we go. There we go. Hey, all. We'll have a little fun here. A little fun with what is it, Wednesday?
It's a what Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday night. A little music.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe a little dancing. Who knows?
Oh, we definitely want dancing. It's one of the best prescriptions for everything that ails us. Sorry.
Get a center here. So, this is our first Smart Time. So, welcome to Smart Time. We've got a lot scheduled for tonight. Besides the music, we've got, hey, Linda, good to see you. Linda Hogan's here.
Oh, Linda
Ilana?
Hogan.
Yeah. Westchester folks haven't forgotten about us.
Hey, Ilana, I'm playing my music. I'm still waiting for my song.
So while we're waiting for everyone else to jump on here, let me give you a preview because this is the first, what we're calling Smart Time session. And what we have in store for you tonight is a lot. We've gotten a number of really good questions that have come in. We're going to answer those. Certainly anyone who has questions hey, Nora, by all means, begin to type them in. So you can type them in the comments, and we will do our best to answer these. Let's see. I've got my notes right here, so I make sure I don't forget anything. You know, the worst case scenario is you finish this up and go, oh, I forgot to mention X, which brings me to the one thing I do not want to forget is we have a very cool free resource for everyone tonight. And if you say to the end, I'll tell you how to get it. Let's see what else we've got. Yeah, I guess bottom line is what you're going to get out of this session tonight is clear direction. You know, no more of this mystery, no more of this overwhelm, frustration.
Action, spinning in the circle.
Yeah, which is why we call this Smart Time and why we call, our shifters smart, because they know exactly what they need to do to get out of health chaos.
There's nothing more powerful and calming than knowing. Knowing the answer. Think about when you were in a classroom when you were a kid.
Yeah. I was, hey, Phil. No, I'm not wearing a t-shirt.
What are you doing?
Phil says, what? Charlie isn't wearing a t-shirt.
Look, I even got a little dressed up too.
Hey, Phil, at least I'm not wearing pajamas all the time. So, but where was I going? Oh, so I was on a call with Laurie, and you were on a call with Eric earlier, coaching he and Rachel. But Laurie was sharing with me how she just wrapped up the new year, and she's a relatively new shifter. Mm-hmm. But this is, indicative of what the norm is for our smart shifters, and that's she went through the holidays and they didn't go as she maybe had preferred, but the good news is they didn't go the way she had preferred, and her pain came back. She said she couldn't even deal out cards. She was in so much arthritis pain.
This is not uncommon. Yeah.
Well, the good news is she knew exactly what to do to get out of pain. And within less than a day, the pain was gone because she knew what to do. And I think just as importantly, in the old days, she would have said, oh, cold weather. Oh, I didn't have my cinnamon sticks with XYZ supplements and, all this stuff that we think is the cause or will help when now we know. So we're going to share that knowledge with you tonight. Obviously, there's only so much we can share. But let me first start with introducing ourselves now that we've been going on for a few minutes here. I'm Charlie. This is Barbara McDermott.
This is our Christmas poinsettia. Thought I'd have it in the background.
Thank you.
Keep it real.
Poinsettias in Florida last
my God. Poinsettias in Florida. They put them in the window boxes outside.
So you'll be seeing this for months to come, maybe years.
It's actually April.
So we help individuals regain their health and vitality pleasantly. Yeah.
Simply.
Smarts. There's no pills, powders, potions needed. There's no special foods. There's no dieting. There's no deprivation, willpower, all that nonsense. You don't even need to go to the gym, which I know sounds maybe
sacrilegious for us.
Based on our background with 23 years of being in the health club business, owning a chain of health clubs. But as our shifters know, it's not about working out hard. I mean, if you'd like to do it, awesome, but you don't need to. So We've got a couple things we want to go through. One, you want to get to the questions that we're going to cover?
Sure.
Yeah, so earlier in the day, we posted on our various Facebook pages, hey, let us know what questions you want us to answer. And if you are here, by all means, any follow-up questions you might have. But Lila had the first question. And she says, "Say good evening from Canada." And she talking about the great information she's getting, but she has a question. But she's not sure.
It's a crazy one. We love crazy questions, right?
We love crazy.
Yes.
So Lila has her shift coffee or bulletproof coffee or fat coffee, whatever you want to call it. You know, potato, which she loves.
Which means what? We should share that.
Yep.
So, you know, shifted coffee, bulletproof coffee, keto coffee, fat coffee, all it is instead of flavoring or using a beverage for carbohydrate, sweetener, sugars, we replace or displace that and allow flavorful, filling, fortifying fats in there instead. And those of us who have a sugar craving, we talked about this a little bit before, you know, the antidote is fat. The antidote for a sugar craving is fat. So she's drinking her morning beverage, shifted or fat first focused, and she loves it. But you remind me of someone from Willy Wonka. I'm a gum chewer. What was her name? What was
the
Violet
girl?
I think it was Violet.
Yeah.
You know, and put up behind her ear. Anyway, chewing a gum. I love chewing gum too. And she's wondering if chewing a piece of gum in the morning affects blood sugar before I actually eat solid food at around. Well, here's the crazy. Ready for this?
Crazy.
All of us end up with a little bit higher blood sugar in the mañana, the morning, because something called dawn phenomenon, circadian rhythm, our hormones are so beautifully orchestrated. So we need energy to start our day. So our body naturally senses birds are chirping, a little bit of sunrise is coming, a little bit less of darkening. And what happens is your body releases a hormone called glucagon, which tells your liver to release a stored glycogen, turns back to glucose, and goes into your bloodstream. So we oftentimes wake up high. And I don't mean that to be silly, but it's kind of true. And those of you in the diabetes world, type 2, especially you type 1s, Ilana, my daughter, my nephew William, we know that we can present with a high blood sugar without even having eaten anything, right? Part of life, part of life. However, even Smee wakes up with high blood sugar. No. So but here's the thing. What Lila, I believe, is asking is not so much I'm assuming she might be in the quest of weight loss. I don't know. From the question, I don't know. But she's worried about her blood sugars being affected. And it looks like she's trying to fast. This is what I'm reading between the lines here, because she's not eating solid food until around 1 in the afternoon. And I'm not sure what time she woke up, what time she had her coffee, but what she's doing is something called a fat fast. It's meaning we are not eating, but we are eating fat focused, which does what? Keeps insulin levels down low, which allows fat burning to be a go. Lots of good rhymes in our community here. We keep it light, keep it tight, and keep it right. So what's happening for her is she's wondering, I'm drinking my bulletproof shifted keto fat coffee, whichever we want to call it, and I'm assuming I'm still in technically a fasted state, even though I've eaten something, because even drinking that, it's liquidy, but it's still food, right? But she's wondering if having chewing gum, and I don't know if the chewing gum is bazooka with lots of, or what's the other bubble gum that comes comes in a big long rollout, hubba bubba bubble gum, or something like that. That has a lot more sugar in it.
Actually, she attached a photo, and I didn't.
She's
printed out.
I'm assuming she's probably doing like an artificial sweetened.
Yeah, yep,
for sure.
One of those.
So the question really is this. Is it a significant amount of carbohydrate? That's what sugar is, carbohydrate. Is there a significant amount of carbohydrate in that chewing gum that's going to knock me out of fat burning? No, probably not. Okay. So yes, everyone, I think Nancy said, I'm going to tune in because I want to find the answer to that question too. Everyone enjoy your chewing gum. But, for those who are more delicate, more lethal versions of blood sugar, Ilana, my daughter, my nephew William, who have to actually manage their blood sugar by being their pancreas,
because they're type 1.
Because they're type 1 diabetic. Yeah, thank you. They have type 1 diabetes. They might have to pay a little more attention to that. But I think that, Lila, for what you're doing, have your gum and enjoy it. Pop lots of bubbles for me.
All right. Well, before you move on to Megan's question, let me share with everyone about our new free group that I know many of you are part of already, but just in case, because we have looks like a number of new folks tonight, go to haltweightgain.com. In fact, if someone could type that in there, Cameron,
come on, Ilana.
Just type in the haltweightgain.com URL, and y'all can click on that when we finish and get on our free Smart Diabetes and Weight Loss Group Facebook page.
Working smarter,
That's where we do
harder.
a lot of things like this on a regular basis on that page. All right, so let's move on to Megan.
I love how underneath everyone's name it says Smart Group, Smart Group. There's a psychological advantage to that. You keep seeing the word smart over and over again. It's pretty cool.
Thanks, Judy.
Oh, Judy. Okay. You gonna read the next one?
Hey, John. Good to see you. Let's see. So Megan says, my husband has just been diagnosed with non-insulin dependent type 2 diabetes, and I'm trying to figure stuff out.
Non-insulin dependent. I'm assuming that means he doesn't need to use insulin.
Yep, I would say that. We've been assigned a dietitian, and she's also trying to help him with his help him through through the roof cholesterol. That should be like hyphenated. Through the roof cholesterol. I've had through the roof. What did I have? I had that cholesterol was so high. It was so high. Pull the car over the side of the road.
Miss Mary Mack never came back till the 4th of July. That's how high my cholesterol was at the time. Okay.
All right. So she wants him to eat lots of beans and whole grains for the soluble fiber.
Where's my laughing man?
To help his cholesterol, but they're very heavy on carbs. She gave us a recipe of equal parts oat bran, chia seeds, and
psyllium husk
to stir into yogurt. Oh, the magic superfoods. Here we go. And on salads and such as a supplement, but wants him to up his dietary intake as well.
Of fiber. Okay.
All right. So she's saying, what we talk about seems very low in soluble fiber because the beans and whole grains are gone. Right. Are there good sources that aren't packed with a ton of carbs? So I know there's a lot of different pieces to that. Where do you want to begin?
Let's begin from the beginning. Okay. So type 2 diabetes is what? It's a man-made level. When your blood sugar gets to a certain number after you've fasted for a certain amount of hours, we say we are diabetic or pre-diabetic, or there's all different degrees of. To me, the whole world is diabetic. Okay, that's another book. But anyway, the concept is, he and I would say we're controlled diabetic because we still have to worry about the consequences of blood sugar and insulin. Even though our blood sugar, when we fast and go to the doctors, oh, it's great, it's working. Okay. But then you have pre-diabetes and full diabetes, which means your body, his body, Megan's husband's body, is having a real hard time bringing the sugar out of the bloodstream. Okay, so insulin gets called in to do that job and opens up the cells of our body and allows the blood sugar to go into the cells to be used for energy. That's just one little piece of the formula. That's all we need to know for now. So he has been in a situation where he's been eating foods that everyone says are healthy, rice and beans and whole grains. And so he's had a lot of blood sugar. Am I going too slow? He's had a lot of blood sugar rises. And so because of that, he's had insulin having to cooperate all the time. So he's insulin resistant. You've heard insulin is called way too often. So here we have a gentleman, just like our daughter and other people we know with diabetes, who have a really hard time getting the carbohydrates that's turned to glucose out of our bloodstream. But we're telling them to eat carbohydrates that are really high. So if he was to consume the beans and the whole grains for the fiber, okay, he might be getting the fiber. Well, there's a question about that. That's a whole nother bag of crazy, because grains, fiber, can actually create such leaky gut that we have an autoimmune response. But okay, whatever. So, but here's what dietitians and nutritionists, and that's not everyone, and they've only been taught a certain way of looking at something. You know, we look at it like the bigger picture. Why would I tell anyone who has a hard time processing and getting the sugar from the food out of the bloodstream, which can kill you, either slow or fast, depending upon which type you have, why would I tell you to eat a carbohydrate heavy thing? Crazy, right? Yeah. So I'd say don't eat lots of beans and whole grains. I mean, beans are a little less than the whole grains, but neither of those are going to get you out of Dodge. Okay, now.
And before you move on, you know.
So let's give Megan props, because she had a red flag in her head. Like, wait a minute, they're heavy on carbs. Yeah. Why would I do that? There. Very good for questioning and being skeptical.
Yeah.
Go.
Well, I was going to add to that. You know, when you truly understand how food in your body works, when you have that knowledge, then you can look at this and go, oh yeah, well that's kind of ridiculous.
That's a little silly.
You know? However, where most people sit is they're looking to these professionals to guide them, and even in the back of their mind or their instincts are saying, this just doesn't seem right. They're going, well, I defer to the expert because they know better. Well, you know.
In fact, I think when Aaron was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes back in 2008, we started eating more carbohydrates than ever, because everyone kept saying they're the healthiest foods. It was insanity. Yeah. That poor girl. And Ilana, she's been through the same thing. And I know a bunch of you have been through it in some version of diabetes or inflammation or pain, right? Yes. So, and you know, you can get more than enough fiber just from eating cruciferous vegetables, your broccoli, your cauliflower, your Brussels sprouts, just those three, boom. Or romaine lettuce. Yeah, if it's not, contaminated. But literally any green leafy vegetable or cruciferous vegetable has enough fiber for your day. You're good. In fact, here's the cool thing. When you get the grain out of your life, you need less fiber in your life. It's a whole thing. We have a whole little workshop just on that. Remember the whole soluble fire, insoluble fire, bacteria, blah, blah, blah. But yes, so Megan, snaps for you for being skeptical. You're absolutely right. So there are your good sources: broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower.
With lots of butter.
Lots of butter and cheese. Yes, and your husband
vegetables
say, thank
never
you.
Tasted so good.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, remember, we need fat for the fat-soluble vitamins to even be absorbed. So put the butter on the broccoli, people. Okay. And now?
We moving on to Larry. And for those of you who are joining us, by the way, let us know if this is helpful. If there's something specific that you have a question on, by all means, you feel free. You can put that in the chat box. As I mentioned, we had a number of questions submitted to us prior to, but that doesn't mean we can't get into any questions you have, all right?
I didn't really get to say, I wanted to share this. You know how she said that he has out-the-roof cholesterol?
Yes.
Well, let's think about this. Here's another skeptical moment. Why would our body make something that's harmful for us? I don't think it would. Cholesterol is not harmful. Cholesterol is critical for health. It's the raw material. Your cholesterol is raw material for the production of things like all your hormones. Vitamin D being able to be produced, sunshine, ultraviolet ray, plus cholesterol, produces vitamin D. No wonder we're depressed taking all those damn cholesterol lowering medications. It also is raw material for the integrity of every cell membrane, including these guys, the brain cells. It's absolutely critical for bile acids, which sounds like, wow, I need that. Yeah, that's how we digest fats. And fats have all those fortifying components, so we want that. It's also, cholesterol plays an integral role in memory formation. This is our mom, and this is our mom. We lost Mom McDermott to damn Alzheimer's, okay? And she did not eat any butter. She only ate carbohydrates because that's what they were told to do.
That was the healthy way.
That was the healthy way.
Yeah,
and cholesterol is also all about neurological functioning. Think MS and Parkinson's, anything that has to do with neurons, okay? Need cholesterol. Why do we fear cholesterol? Generally, it's because we think, oh my gosh, somehow it's going through my veins and it's gonna lodge, okay? Well, the underlying problem of heart disease is actually from carbohydrates, not fat. Carbohydrates, when they're broken down, they basically are sticky. Literally, they're just sticky. And they end up attaching to proteins. Our blood vessels are made of proteins, protein and fat, mostly protein. And when they get stuck on there, they start forming what are called AGEs, advanced glycated end products. And it's that corrupts the delicate blood vessel. And then the cholesterol comes along to do the job of smoothing it over, and it sits there. So then when things accumulate, the cholesterol, the Band-Aid, gets blamed for what the AGE did underneath. It's not the fat, people, it's the carbohydrate. Date the carbohydrate, but marry the fat, is what we say here. So that's, when it comes to cholesterol, we should not be running from it. We should be rejoicing. Cholesterol will rise linearly with your inflammation and your stress, emotional or physical. And as that starts to drop down, your cholesterol comes down too. Cholesterol just rides with us. And our body makes 85% of it. We all think we have to change, we have to eat. What did one guy say?
Brain needs it.
Someone said I have to have eat some red beans and rice, Barbie, baby, to get your cholesterol down. I was high cholesterol because I had just been in a severe automobile accident.
A lot of stress.
A lot of stress.
Yeah.
Cool now.
Couple shout outs. Michael Scroce is here. Nini.
Michael Scroce.
Nini
Okay, two of my favorite
McGlinchey.
people right there. Nini.
Yeah.
Saturday
And
Steppers.
Allison, we're glad you called
I got my
us.
music right here.
Joyce, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And
It's hard to see with the glare. Look
Sarah.
at the glare on my glasses.
Sarah Voss says, oh my goodness, I was telling my friend
Sarah.
about one of your videos, and then for the life of me, I couldn't find it again, so I'm glad I just came across this.
Oh, good.
You
Good,
make
good,
everything
good.
so much easier to understand.
We
Thanks
elementary
for what
school
you
teachers.
do.
Oh, thank you so much. It was that Sarah with an H. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sarah. Nini, how are those kids treating you in the classroom, huh? And Michael, you should be doing your homework, buddy.
So a couple, couple questions that
Ilana.
as well as Mohammed, both type 1 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Mohammed says, what is your best advice for type 1 diabetes?
Ilana.
And then Ilana says, I wonder what might be causing my blood sugar to rise a bit after walking and having only drank my shifted coffee beforehand. Also, sometimes I feel like I must be low, but actually end up being higher than normal. Any ideas? Boy, that sounds familiar.
I got it. Yeah. We live it. I don't live it. Aaron lives it.
Yeah.
Ilana lives it. William lives it. So I'm going to ask her Ilana's type 1 question. Remember, type 1 people who are type 1 diabetic, I hate to even use that label, people who are basically people whose pancreas is no longer putting out any insulin. So everything that happens for us without even thinking, I was reading just today, I think it was in my Course in Miracles. Yeah, have you ever heard that big spiritual book? It talked about how lucky we are as humans, that we have this intricate system. We don't even know how it happens.
Mm.
But Ilana and Mohammed here, and William, my nephew, and my daughter Erin, they have to know.
Yeah.
They don't have to just know. They actually have to do it themselves. So when you and I just show up for a party, they have to show up calculating, measuring, weighing, considering. Well, let's get to it. So they have to know how much insulin offsets carbohydrate. And there's this many variables, including moon phases and bad hair days. So, and you know what I'm talking about, you two. So Ilana, sometimes she's experiencing after she goes for a walk, and Ilana is drinking our shifted coffee, doing our shift program in the quest for making life with type 1 diabetes a little bit easier. It's not going to end, at least not that we know of yet, for as far as a cure, but to make it easier to live with, and also shed some body weight that has been put on because of insulin and carbohydrates, okay? But she's wondering, you know, talk about being up a creek, these folks. She's only having her shifted coffee, which means no carbohydrate. So it means the blood sugar should be minimal of any movement at all. But why after she's gone for a walk? You would think that your body would have used up that glucose, right, on the walk. And for most of us, yeah, that's what happens. However, when we are walking or exercising, your body wants to help out even though you don't want it to. And it helps out by our liver will release some of the stored glycogen and put glucose into your bloodstream. So post-exercise, you might see when you test, oh my gosh, why is my blood sugar up? But we have to just expect that, and unless it's really high, Ilana, don't address it. It'll come back down again, okay? So that's really why I know William, it drove him insane. He played soccer, and you would think that after the game, you're laying in bed at night, he would drop low, and sometimes he would spike real high with his blood sugar because your body, well, first of all, there's a whole ebb and flow of the insulin that was on board, and it gets used up, and now there's no insulin left, and now your blood sugar spikes. It's insanity. This is why we are so smart in this community, because we have type 1 diabetic friends who have taught us the truth. So we thank you, Mohammed and Ilana, for being our teachers. You are our teachers. And then the other question was, any idea?
Quick reminder again, just because I know folks are jumping on as we're talking. Our free resource, I'm going to share that in the next few minutes when Barb finishes up this last question. If you have additional questions, you can put them in the chat. This is live, and we'll do our best to help everyone we can tonight. There was something else.
I want to answer Mohammed.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because Mohammed was saying, so what is best advice for anyone who's type 1 diabetes? And Mohammed, our daughter has type 1 diabetes. She's 26 years old. It's 10 years now for her. She was diagnosed when she was 16. So you know that type 1 diabetes is a giant math insanity. And I hate to use the word game, but at times it feels like a game, right? You're constantly trying to match carbohydrate to insulin, insulin to carbohydrate. Unless your doctor does it the other way, which is a little scary. But whenever we're dealing with numbers, right, the bigger the numbers, the bigger the mistakes are created when something is off. And with type 1 diabetes, it's never exactly on. There's always going to be a mistake because we can't see, we can't guess accurately. So if big math problems create big mistakes, we want to have little math problems. The surest way to make sure that our numbers are lower problem-wise is to eat less carbohydrate. And do not be afraid to displace carbohydrate by allowing fat into your diet. We all get freaked out that our cholesterol is going to be a thing. Cholesterol becomes a thing because of high carbohydrate, not because of high fat. Now, high fat and high carbohydrate together, yeah, that's not good.
It's not cool.
But carbohydrate down, we can allow the cheese in. We can allow the butter in.
Yeah.
So that's my best advice. Less carbohydrate means what, Mohammed? Less insulin. And that goes into our story about Jeff.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about suppressing insulin. We talk about the insulin suppression lifestyle. You know, everything we do comes down to one thing. You know, there's no magic potions. There's not 59 different things you have to remember and understand. It simply is
insulin. What
am I doing today that will suppress insulin? And whether that's eating or whether that's managing stress or what you were going to say.
Putting habits in. Well, when we're saying, and because we have type 1s in the house, when we say suppress insulin, we mean don't stimulate it. We mean to stimulate it the least amount possible. Yeah. Because every single one of us absolutely needs insulin. Always involved in our day. Yeah. None of us would be alive without it. And our type 1s know that all too well, right? So when we say insulin suppression, we can't say insulin not stimulation. So we say insulin suppression, it just means live in such a way that insulin is less involved. Don't we all know, we all hear this, oh, my cortisol's out the roof. Yeah. I'm so stressed. So we know if we do yoga or meditate, if that's good for us, or we get a haircut, or we walk the dog, or we write poetry, or we do art, or we kickbox, whatever it is that brings our stress level down, we know we're suppressing cortisol. This is what we teach in our shift. suppressing insulin. And the interesting thing is they kind of go hand in hand. They have a little bit of a relationship, the little cousins there.
All right.
Okay, and then we have our third question.
Larry. Larry says, thanks for all you do. I've been really careful for about a month about my sugar and carb intake.
Very good.
Lost 4 pounds.
Nice.
Trying to get from 174 to 160.
You'll do it?
Yep. 5'7" male. Most of the excess weight is around my middle. We call that.
What do we call that, everybody? What is our waist weight? Anybody have the answer in the classroom? Waist weight. It rhymes with weight. Waist weight comes from 4 syllables. Waist weight comes from carbohydrate. And that's why we call our waistline our insulin belt. Not everybody, but 90% of the population, we can tell how prevalent insulin is in their lives. I say 2 ways. One is our waistline, and the other is the speed at which we are aging, right? Because insulin will either put your carbohydrate around your waist and you'll carry it as fat fuel, or it will break it down and attach all over your body as those AGEs that actually age us. Sorry, I just messed up here. Yeah. This is great. So you're going to be able to connect those dots.
Yep.
It is carbohydrate.
However, Larry's question is not about him. It's about his wife. He says she's been overweight all her life and has tried every diet there is. Boy, we hear that a lot.
I wish she was on our call last night. We had the same conversation with our shifters who are doing it.
Yeah, we do our coaching calls on Monday night with all of our clients. That's what Barbara's referring to.
That was actually my small group.
One big problem is her immune system is shot.
Yeah.
Sick all the time with cold, bronchitis, sinus infection, etc. So here's the question. She has no sign of diabetes. Do you think severely restricting carbs and sugar intake would help strengthen her immune system besides help her lose weight and maybe avoid diabetes?
So what do we know? If we hear that someone has been overweight almost their whole life, just because their blood sugar presents as normal after a fast, what we don't see is the other side of the coin. One side of the coin is blood sugar. The other side of the coin is insulin. We don't test for insulin. We don't know how much insulin this woman's body has been producing all these years to make sure her blood sugar level is down. She's wearing her blood sugar around her waist. Now, there's not blood sugar sitting in her waist, you get this, but the sugar in her blood has been converted to fat. See, energy is never created nor destroyed, it's only changed. We eat food, carbohydrate is energy, goes into our body, becomes glucose, goes into our bloodstream. We're probably gonna have more than our body needs for energy at that moment, so our body switches it and we carry it as fuel around our waist. And any more excess just gets broken down, and again, we carry it. That's aging, that's pain, that's fibromyalgia, that's Alzheimer's. So, what I see here when I see incessant colds and viral infections, sinus infections and bronchitis, these are all fed by what? Sugar. All carbohydrate represents sugar, not just the sugar we put in our iced tea or whatever, right? Our birthday cake sugar. It's all carbohydrate.
But what if it's good for you? What if it's
good carbs, Barb?
Fruit and
what if it's good carbs?
Organic, whole grain
This
bread.
is what we love about Shift, because you see food with no emotion attached. It's so freeing. And here's the thing, I'd like to share this with Larry. Last night I was on a call with about 4 other shifters, and 3 of the women, one in particular, she shared with us, she goes, I have been overweight significantly my entire life. First grade, my mom was even making my clothes because I was already that girl. And she's losing weight. She's doing it because she never knew that it was the flipping carbohydrates.
Never knew how it worked.
And she could enjoy the cheese and the fats and the butter. Oh my gosh, because here's what happens. You got to get that insulin down low so fat burning is a go. If insulin levels are up, fat stores are locked down. The only way to get insulin levels down is to get that blood sugar down. The only way to get the blood sugar down is get the carbohydrate down.
Yeah.
It goes together. So I don't know if her immune system is shot. I would gently suggest that maybe her immune system is just fine. Yeah. It just needs a break. Yeah. Take the carbohydrate out for her.
Tell you, I thought my immune system
was shot.
I mean, I didn't know what was wrong with me. As we had mentioned earlier, we were in the health club business for 23 years, and we certainly stayed healthy. However you define that, we defined it by staying active and eating healthy foods,
right.
Which whole grain and lots of healthy nutritional foods. I'll leave it at that. And we've been doing this now for over 6 years.
Yep.
Prior to that, about 5 years prior to that, I started getting sick all the time. So let's say 10 years ago. And eventually the doctor figured out it was allergies and would give me a shot.
That's
yeah, well, and I would get relief for maybe 2 months, and then I'd beg the doctor to give me another shot, and he said, no, but I can prescribe you medication. So I would take that medication, and then after 6 months, twice a year, I was allowed to get the shot. It would give me some relief, but I had a head cold probably 20 to 30 weeks out of the year, and in between that, it was a sore throat and just feeling miserable and tired, and you know the routine.
Yeah.
And, when Barb figured this shift thing out and we started doing it just to support our type 1 daughter, Erin, within 2 days, I had forgotten to take my allergy medication. And I haven't taken a pill. I haven't gotten a shot now in over 6 years. I haven't even had the sniffles. Nothing. No flu, no anything. I've been 100% healthy. So, when your body is allowed to heal itself, it's amazing.
And what we're really doing is we're unburdening it. We're just taking away the flood of glucose. Yeah. Glucose, guess what, everybody? Our body makes glucose all by itself. You don't even need carbohydrate. Yeah. When you find that one out, you're like, wait, why are we making people eat rice and beans?
Yeah. Well, and another way to look at it is, when you have...
Not that you can't eat rice and beans ever, but...
When you have too much glucose in your blood, which doesn't take much, what's it, a teaspoon?
1 teaspoon.
1 teaspoon. Your body has to get rid of the overflow.
Yeah, that has to be dealt with first.
It becomes a toxic situation. It's poisonous. It will kill you. And that's why if you are, Barb keeps me straight, if you are doing things that I would do and things that we preached as personal trainers back in the day, and it still happens today, is, eat a bunch of small meals. Well, the only thing that ensures is insulin circulating in your body and glucose circulating in your blood all the time. And so back to the body healing and giving it a break, when your body is focused on getting the poison out, it doesn't have a whole lot of time or energy to take care of other situations because that poison is priority number 1.
Yes, but just make sure glucose is not poison. It becomes poisonous in the portion when it becomes too much. It's fuel, and we're overfueled. Yeah. And if we're overfueled, we're going to carry that fuel, or we'll be corroded by it.
Yep.
And that's the lousy of it. But some of us in our community understand a lethal situation where your bloodstream is poisonous. Yeah. It is non-supportive of life when that blood sugar glucose value gets high. Okay.
All right, before we go any further, just for those of you sitting back on, wow, I'd really like to do this, but man, I'm freaking out because I can never eat sugar or carbohydrate again. And Barbara's is saying there are no foods off limits, just no foods limits.
You can't live life.
We have carbs all the time. In fact, I'll have some a little later. But the difference is now we know, now we understand, and we're no longer eating foods for the nutritional impact because they're healthy for us, because they're going to keep us from getting sick. Well, guess what? I was eating those foods 10 years ago, and they were making me sick. And guess what? Every day we have new clients coming on board who are following the rules and dying, literally, dying. They're paying the price for following the rules. So,
literally. Yeah.
So it's not about depriving yourself. It's not about never eating certain foods again. My goodness, you never want to deprive yourself. Once you start doing that, it becomes a diet, not a lifestyle.
And you become really irritable, not fun to be around.
It's not a fun way to live. Phil has a question. He says, I hear folks say complex carbohydrates are good and beneficial.
Okay, so complex carbohydrates are just a little bit more complicated than simple carbohydrates. So
it's complicated.
People will say, oh, but that's what they call the good carbs. It's good carbs. It just takes a little bit slower for the body to break it down. So they assume that that's going to be somehow better, but it still all breaks down and it still becomes the same amount of glucose in our bloodstream. So whatever the carbohydrate value is, whether it's complex or simple or organic or not, it just gets broken down to glucose. It just happens a little bit slower. So some of the people, experts out there will say, your blood sugar, instead of going like this, will go like this. Now, I don't know which one's better. They both end up at the same high. Okay, they both end up at the same high. Yeah. But some people say, well, it makes me feel fuller because there's more fiber in it. And that's true too, but I'll tell you, there's nothing quite as filling as fat. And when I say filling, I don't mean just that moment where you're pushing the dinner away and you can't finish it. Yeah. I'm talking you go for hours, not even thinking about the kitchen or the teacher's lounge or the coworker's break room. That's what, remember I just said about the woman who's been overweight her whole life I was talking to last night. She said she works in an environment with all men. Okay, that's not fun. Especially a woman for a woman trying to lose weight, being with a bunch of guys, come on. It's just not, it can be not cool. Well, because what she goes through, or had been, everyone's at the office, and of course, 10 o'clock, the donuts roll in, and everyone's scarfing down the donuts. And then at 12 o'clock, ordering lunch. Now we're doing lunch. And she's trying desperately to resolve a health situation. She says, Barb, I have my morning shift at coffee. That 10 o'clock thing rolls by, that 12 o'clock thing rolls by. She goes, I don't even care anymore. Like liberation. It's incredible to not be thinking about food. And that's when you know you got it. Yeah. That's when you know that's another one that said, I never want to worry about food again.
You have it for life.
Never going to worry about food again. Once you know, you know.
Yeah. Peace of mind.
Yeah. Sanity. I call it sanity.
So I want to, looks like we got through the questions, which was awesome. A couple things I've been promising you, the resource. I'm going to get to that.
That's right. Yeah.
Know that we will be back again next Wednesday. Pass this around, share this recording. We want to get the word out, right? We're here to help. And we're counting on you all to help us do that, okay? So share that, share our Halt Weight Gain page, invite friends to come in there. We're seeing a lot of that now. A lot of folks are sharing that, and we do a lot over there. So two things, one other thing, we are closing out on our New Year sale. We've actually extended the deadline twice because I'm a sucker and I'm getting folks saying, can't you please just hold off until a certain day?
I'm coming tomorrow.
So here's the deal. Go to shift-insiders.com, shift-insiders.com.
Shift.
And
right?
Yep.
Simple.
Yep. And it's a 50% off membership. All right. I'm not going to get into it. All it includes everything.
We have so much.
Just go on over there and you can get that sale. It ends for good, for sure, positively, absolutely, this Sunday. So
because the Eagles are going to be playing,
do that.
Put
now.
all of our energy into the Eagles.
So shift-insider.com, and then the other is that free resources. So we spent a good part of the last week putting together a special resource for everyone tonight, and it's pretty cool. It's the Sweet Tooth Tactics. We know, probably one of the top challenges we hear from folks is cravings and sweets, and what do I do?
Especially post-holiday,
Yep. So
it's brutal.
So we put together a publication really that'll help you with actually 3 very, very go-to snacks that I love. Mm-hmm. In fact, I had one today.
He loves them. Don't use the word love around food in my house.
All right. Anyway, so how do you get that? Go to our blog. Simple as that. Go to our website, theshiftformula.com. And you can do /blog, or you can just go to the website, theshiftformula.com, click on blog, and you'll see right at the top of the page is the post that's about Sweet Smarts. That's sweet.
Not street, yo, in the hood. Although we'll do a blog on that one.
So there you go. So 2 things. Go to shift-insiders.com. Get in on that savings. Be a part of this. Get that knowledge so just like all of our clients.
We can all know.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's complicated, but it's not. Once you have it, you have it.
Barb packaged it together. I mean, you'll have it down in a matter of days, and then we'll be there to support you and answer any questions you have. The Sweet Tooth Tactics Action Plan, that's a mouthful.
I know he's thinking before he says it every time.
You can get that at theshiftformula.com on our blog. And then if you haven't already, get on over to our free Facebook page.
Get on over.
haltweightgain.com.
And there's lots of great dialogue. Like even Alana just shared that both simple and complex carbohydrates spike her sugar. And what she means is her blood glucose levels rise, whether it's simple or complex, it doesn't matter. The journey still goes to the same place.
Oh, what John says, can you give a few examples of good carbs?
No, there are no good carbs. No, I'm just joking. Some good carbohydrates. Are you ready? I named them already. Cauliflower.
I was going to say, and John V. commented before that, he nailed it. Complex carbs aren't as beneficial as once thought. It's about insulin spikes. All carbs spike insulin.
Thank you, John V.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
So a carbohydrate that is nutritionally dense and has minimal impact on blood sugar and insulin. My Shift Insiders, come on, write them down for John. What are they?
Well, and John said veggies, so you're gonna get.
Yeah, veggies. So, but the best ones: cauliflower, broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts. Karen T, help me out. Spinach. Oh, any of your leafy greens. But here's the thing: that sounds like, oh, that's really boring, Barb. I want to hear something like, a mouthful of something good.
Something good.
But we take those nutrient-dense vehicles for fat. So they're under butter, they're under cheese, they're under heavy cream, they're under some of us bacon, they're under some slivers of walnuts. We're taking, think about here's what I think. The carbs that were called comfort foods are usually things like pastas, rices and Chinese thingies, pastries, things, well, not pastries, anything with flour, right? These are, why are they called comfort foods? There's a whole nother talk. Because when we eat something that brings blood sugar real fast, we're primarily wired to want to always grab fuel, because back in the day of the woolly mammoth, we would have had to hightail it out of there. There's no woolly mammoths around me anymore, but my body has not evolved. It still does the same mechanism. So we get a hit of dopamine that goes, wow, that felt great. I'm comforted. I feel better. But you're really not comforted. That comfort thing is to make you do that again. Getting fuel is a good idea. We get the same dopamine hit whether eating chocolate chip cookie or gossiping with our friends, because being socially interactive in a community is also preserving. We stay alive by aligning with other people. Well, anyway, back to the comfort foods. Pasta has no flavor. Potatoes have no flavor. Flour has no flavor. What is the flavor? It's the fat, right? Macaroni and cheese. Does the macaroni have any flavor without the cheese? Heck no. So we substitute something else for the macaroni. Karen Tinder was just doing a dish for the football game the other day, like a macaroni and beef kind of a thing, but you use cauliflower instead of the noodles. And there are other noodles out there that are lower carbohydrate, but I'll tell you, the blood sugar and insulin rise from the macaroni is not worth it. Once in a while, yeah. But to think that that's because it's whole grain macaroni is going to somehow be different for you, oh, that was our game.
Yeah.
Oh, Aaron, eat this. It's organic and it was blessed by the Pope. You're going to be healthy tomorrow. I'm so high I can't get out of bed. That was life, right? So it's carbohydrate. Yeah, it's not what you think it is. Yeah. So, but here's the cool thing, John. Inside our community, we eat cake, we make muffins, we eat ice cream. You know, there are ways to do it. There are alternative flours and how to mix them up. We teach all of that. So there's no deprivation. I said to Erin, when we shifted, we didn't call it shift then, but we reinvented every one of our favorite foods because life is meant to be lived. Birthday cakes have to be eaten. And now we know how to eat them without them having eaten us. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, gang.
I'm hot again. I always get hot talking about carbohydrates. So I said, no wonder I have no friends. All I do is talk about carbohydrates. I have friends. You guys are my friends, right? Blue is my friend. Look at her looking at me.
Phil Brakefield says Blue is definitely not a woolly mammoth.
She sometimes is. She's crazy.
John
She can
says
jump so high.
you're making me hungry. John B.
Good.
Which, speaking of which,
We haven't eaten dinner yet.
I need to go cook me some dinner. Guess what I'm having today?
Karen Tinder, don't say it. Yes, I'm telling you, we're so pathetic. We're having that again. Yeah, don't say it. Don't say it.
All right.
We'll leave that as a guess.
We'll let you wonder.
We'll leave that as a guess.
We'll tell you next week.
Karen T knows.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys.
Mohammed, it was nice
Later on.
meeting you. And Ilana, thank you for being here. And Nora. And was Larry even here? Were our questions here?
I did not.
Megan and
yeah,
Lila.
a few of them said they couldn't make it.
And John and John. I was thinking about John S.
Watch the
today.
replay.
Isn't that funny?
All right, gang.
Okay.
We'll talk soon.
Peace out, everybody. Bye, Phil.
Be smart. See ya.